Get out! I said get out! Get out!
Obi, what have I done?
Don't stand there pretending you don't know. That child is not mine.
Obi, you know that's a lie. You know I have never been with another man.
That's what every cheating woman says.
Look at your daughter. She's cold. Obi, please.
Don't use that child to manipulate me. That's not my problem. Leave. We were never a family.
You promised to marry me.
And I thank God I didn't.
Obi.
I almost made the biggest mistake of my life.
Why are you wasting your time talking to her? Please, not in this rain.
Take your things and never come back.
The rain is watching, the sky is watching, and the child will remember. One day, the truth will return. Welcome to African Tales by Ebe, where every story carries a lesson and every wound finds healing.
That rainy night changed everything. As Mama Ada walked away from Obi's house with tears in her eyes and her little daughter in her arms, she felt as though her entire world had come to an end. The rain continued to fall. The wind continued to blow. And with every step she took, her heart became heavier. She had nowhere else to go. No husband. No money. No future she could see. Only pain. After walking for hours through the darkness, she finally arrived at her mother's small house at the edge of the village. The moment her mother opened the door and saw her standing there, soaked from head to toe, heavily pregnant and crying, she already knew something terrible had happened. The old woman pulled her daughter inside and wrapped her in a warm cloth. Then she shook her head sadly.
My daughter.
I warned you about that man.
I warned you
Those
about
words
that man.
pierced Mama Ada's heart. Because deep inside, she knew her mother was right.
A few months later, Mama Ada gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The birth brought joy, but life remained difficult. There was still no husband, no support, no help from Obi. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and every morning before sunrise, Mama Ada would carry her tray of fresh roasted corn to the roadside. Under the scorching sun, she stood for hours calling out to travelers. Some days she sold enough. Some days she barely sold anything. But no matter how difficult life became, she refused to give up. She had 2 children depending on her, and that alone gave her strength. Many people expected her to fail. Some even laughed behind her back. But Mama Ada kept moving forward, one small step at a time. Years began to pass. Little Ada was no longer a toddler. She grew into a bright, curious and intelligent young girl. But there was something unusual about her. Something nobody could explain. Whenever somebody told a lie around her, she would hear a strange sound inside her ears. Not a voice, not a whisper, a distant rumble, like thunder rolling far away in the sky. At first, everyone thought she was imagining things. Even her own mother did not believe her. But then, something happened. One afternoon, a customer came to buy roasted corn. After collecting the corn, the man handed over fake money and tried to leave. Suddenly, Ada pointed at him. That man is lying. The man laughed. The villagers laughed too.
That man is
But
lying.
moments later, the truth came out. The money was fake. The customer was caught. And from that day, people began whispering about the little girl who somehow knew when people were not telling the truth. Meanwhile, another person had quietly entered their lives. His name was Emeka. At first, nobody noticed him. He would simply stop by the roadside to buy corn. Once a week, then twice, then 3 times, then almost every day. Soon, the villagers began to laugh because everybody knew the truth. Emeka was not coming for the corn. He was coming to see Mama Ada. The man had fallen in love. But Mama Ada was not ready. The wounds Obi left behind were still fresh inside her heart. Every time Emeka mentioned marriage, she changed the subject. Every time he tried to get closer, she stepped back. She was afraid. Afraid of being hurt again. Afraid of trusting the wrong person. Afraid of giving her heart to another man. But Emeka was different. He never pressured her. He never forced anything. Instead, he simply showed up, day after day, week after week, month after month. He helped carry water, helped repair broken things around the house, played with the children,
is how the little
and slowly,
learned to
without
dance.
even realizing it, the children began to love him.
Tell us another one, please.
One evening, as the family sat outside watching the sunset, Ada suddenly smiled. Then she looked at her mother. Uncle Emeka will become my father one day. Mama Ada laughed. Who told you that? Ada smiled. The same mysterious smile she always had whenever the thunder spoke to her. Then she answered softly. The thunder did. For a moment, Mama Ada simply stared at her daughter. Then for the first time in many years, she smiled from the bottom of her heart. Because although she did not know it yet, the darkest chapter of her life was finally coming to an end. And a beautiful new chapter was about to begin. A year later, Mama Ada finally made a decision that changed all their lives. After months of patience, kindness, and consistency, she accepted Emeka's marriage proposal. The wedding was simple. There were no expensive decorations, no wealthy guests, no grand celebration. Just family, just friends, and 2 people who had survived pain choosing happiness together. For Mama Ada, it was not just a wedding. It was the beginning of healing. As she stood beside Emeka that day, she remembered the rainy night she had walked away from Obi's house with nothing except tears and a child in her arms. Now, for the first time in many years, she felt safe. And as Emeka held her hand and smiled, she silently thanked God for giving her a second chance. From that day forward, Emeka became more than a husband. He became a father. Not a stepfather. A father. Mama Ada had 2 children for him. He never separated Ada and her younger brother from the children he later had with Mama Ada. He never used words like, your real father. Never. To Emeka, all the children belonged to him. When school fees came, he paid for everyone. When food was placed on the table, everybody ate together. When one child succeeded, he celebrated all of them. The children noticed it. The villagers noticed it. Even Mama Ada noticed it. And slowly, the fear she had carried for years began to disappear. Because she finally understood something. Not every man was like Obi.
By implementing these strategies,
as the years passed, Emeka worked harder than ever. His small business began to grow. 1 customer became 10. 10 became 50. Before long, people from neighboring villages came looking for him. Money slowly entered the family. The old struggles began to fade. The family moved into a bigger and more beautiful house. The children attended good schools. And among all the children, Ada stood out. She was brilliant, hardworking, disciplined, and kind. Teachers loved her. Classmates respected her. Every year, she seemed to win another award. Every year, she made her family proud. Whenever people asked how she became so successful, Ada always gave the same answer. She pointed to one person, Emeka, the man who chose to raise a child who was not biologically his.
Years later, Ada entered medical school. The journey was not easy. Many students struggled. Many gave up. But Ada remained focused. She studied late into the night. She attended every class. She worked harder than everyone around her. Soon, she became one of the best students in the country. Awards followed. Recognition followed. Success followed. At graduation ceremonies and award presentations, cameras flashed everywhere. People applauded. Journalists asked questions. Yet, Ada never forgot where she came from. And she never forgot who stood beside her when nobody else would. Every time she climbed a stage to receive another award, she always thanked one man first. Her father, Emeka. And every single time, tears filled Emeka's eyes. Not because of the awards, but because the little girl he once played with beneath a village tree had become a woman making history. While Ada's life moved upward, Obi's life moved in the opposite direction. The woman he had chosen over Mama Ada eventually left him. The promises disappeared. The love disappeared. The loyalty disappeared. Then came more problems. His business began to fail. Money disappeared. Opportunities disappeared. Friends who once crowded around him vanished one after another. The same people who used to praise him stopped answering his calls. Soon, Obi found himself alone. Completely alone. The life he once thought was perfect had quietly fallen apart. Then one day, many years later, Obi received news that changed everything. The woman who had destroyed his relationship was seriously ill. Before her death, she asked to see him. When Obi arrived, she could barely speak. But
Mama
what she
Ada
said
never
next
cheated on you.
shattered his world.
I lied.
With tears in her
Everything
eyes,
I
she
told you was a
confessed the
lie.
truth. Every accusation she made against Mama Ada had been a lie. Every single one. Mama Ada had never cheated. Not once. Not ever. The room became silent. Obi felt as though the ground beneath him had disappeared. For years, he had blamed an innocent woman. For years, he had rejected his own children. For years, he had believed a lie. And now, it was too late to change the past. That night, Obi could not sleep. Rain tapped softly against his window. The same sound, the same rain, the same darkness. Suddenly, memories returned. He remembered Mama Ada standing outside in the storm. He remembered little Ada crying in the rain. He remembered the old blind woman. The rain is watching. The child will remember. For the first time in his life, Obi broke down. He cried. Not because he lost money. Not because he lost success. Not because he lost friends. He cried because he finally understood what he had destroyed with his own. Years passed. The little girl who once cried in the rain became a woman. Not just any woman,
Ada became one of the most respected doctors in the country. Her own hospital stood in the heart of the city. People traveled from far away just to see her. Yet, despite all her success, Ada remained humble. She never forgot where she came from. And she never forgot the man who raised her, Emeka. To the world, he was her father. To Ada, he was everything. One rainy evening, an emergency patient was rushed into the hospital. The man was unconscious, weak, thin, and alone. The nurses moved quickly. Ada joined the emergency team immediately. The moment she entered the room, she froze. A strange sound filled her ears. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Thunder. The same thunder she had had as a child whenever something important was about to be revealed. For years, the sound had been silent. Now, it had returned. Ada looked at the patient. Something felt familiar. Something felt wrong, but she could not explain it. She pushed the feeling aside and focused on her work. The man needed urgent treatment. His condition was serious. He also needed blood. Tests were carried out. Minutes later, the results arrived. The nurses were shocked. Dr. Ada was a perfect match, since there were no relatives they could contact. Without hesitation, she agreed to help. She donated blood. She paid for medicines the man could not afford. She made sure he received the best treatment possible. She never expected anything in return. To her, he was simply a patient, nothing more. Days later, the man finally woke up. He thanked her with tears in his eyes. Ada smiled and told him to focus on recovery. Still, every time she entered his room, the thunder returned. Soft, distant, waiting. Then one afternoon, Mama Ada came to visit the hospital. She entered Ada's office. But before she could sit down, she saw a familiar face walking slowly down the corridor. Her body froze. The color drained from her face. Obi? The name slipped from her lips. Ada turned. What did you say?
Mama Ada stared at the recovering patient. The man she had not seen for decades. The man who had thrown her into the rain. The man who had abandoned his children. The man Ada had just saved. Silence filled the room. Then the thunder exploded inside Ada's ears, louder than ever. Everything suddenly made sense. The rain, the memories, the old blind woman's warning, the strange feeling she had the first day she saw him. Slowly, Ada looked at the patient. Then she whispered, "He's my father." Nobody answered, because nobody needed to. The truth was already standing in front of her. Obi broke down immediately. Years of regret poured out of him. He confessed everything. The lies, the mistakes, the guilt, the pain. Then he fell to his knees. "I don't deserve forgiveness." Tears ran down his face. too late. For a long moment, Ada said nothing. Then she remembered Emeka, the man who attended every school event, the man who paid every school fee, the man who stayed awake when she was sick, the man who believed in her before anyone else did. Finally, she spoke. I forgive you. Obi began to cry harder. But Ada was not finished. You are the man who gave me life.
She paused, then smiled gently. But Emeka is the man who taught me how to live. The room became silent. Even Mama Ada wiped tears from her eyes. Because everyone understood the truth. A father can give a child blood, but a real father gives a child love. Months later, Ada's wedding day arrived. The church was filled with family and friends. Flowers covered every corner. Music filled the air. Guests smiled. Cameras flashed. At the entrance stood two men. One had given her life. The other had spent his life giving her a future. When the doors opened, Ada walked toward Emeka. She held his arm, not Obi's, Emeka's. Tears immediately filled Emeka's eyes. Across the church, Obi watched silently. He did not complain. He did not protest. Because for the first time, he truly understood. Some titles are earned, not given. As Emeka walked Ada down the aisle, the entire church stood to its feet. Even Obi stood, and he applauded through tears, through regret, through acceptance. Outside, rain began to fall softly. A gentle rain, nothing like the storm from years ago. And somewhere beyond the crowd, an old blind woman smiled. The rain remembers. But this time, the rain had brought healing. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments. Do you think Ada did the right thing by forgiving Obi? Could you forgive someone who abandoned you and your mother in the rain? And in your opinion, who was Ada's real father? Obi, who gave her life? Or Emeka, who gave her a future? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional African story. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes family is not defined by blood. Sometimes family is defined by love. See you in the next story. Bye!